It will take almost superhuman focus and discipline to deal with Donald Trump in a debate. It's no ordinary proposition. Not because Donald Trump is a master of explaining policy ideas and how they're going to make people better off. It's because he's a master of taking any form or format that is on television and turning it into a show that is all about him.
Pete Buttigieg. That's Buttigieg. Is he still on vacation? Is he chest feeding? Is he still on paternity leave? On vacation? I wonder if he vacations more than Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden has spent more than 40% of his presidency on vacation. A lot of beach time. Weekend at Biden's. Hollywood should be working on a movie or maybe a Netflix series on the president that wasn't. Where was he? He wasn't. Well, happy Tuesday and welcome back. We continue to be reachable at 888-630-9625. 888-630-9625 is the absolutely toll-free telephone number from wherever you are, I guess not in the world, but across the country. You have to call in on Al Gore's amazing internet. Peace be upon him. We are truly blessed to live in the same era as Al Gore, aren't we? Aren't we? He should really release America's chakra before he's done. I think our chakra needs a bit of releasing. But tonight, of course, is the big candidates debate. The candidates debate is tonight. And Kamala, she is hunkered down. I almost asked Michael Piercy to make a montage of all the references to the word hunkered, because all the news media, I think the campaign, they issued the talking point that they're hunkered down, which is one of their phony explanations for not being on the campaign trail and not doing interviews, not doing press conferences, not doing anything. Just it's the old basement campaign that worked so well for Joe Biden. He got a record number of votes in American history. A record number of people came out and voted for Joe Biden when he dwelt in his basement and didn't come out and say anything. And it works pretty well. It works well in Venezuela that way, too. You saw the opposition leader fled to Spain out of Venezuela because he knew he was about to be arrested and thrown in jail on ginned-up charges. You might say trumped-up charges in this case in Venezuela, because that's what commies do. And it's what we're watching in the United States, too. I got to tell you, I just this past week, I was hanging out with I don't want to name the corporation, but a senior executive at a corporation that you've heard of. You're aware of the corporation. And it turns out they had, my friend, sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, because of a variety of things. And I said, well, is that common? They're like, oh, man, half the people here have signed non-disclosure agreements at one point or another. They have more people sign non-disclosure agreements when they separate from the company, sometimes when they join the company, when they go visit HR, non-disclosure agreements all over the place. President Trump had a non-disclosure agreement, an arrangement with a person for a non-disclosure agreement, 34 felony convictions. Isn't that amazing? And how many major corporations have rooms full, stacks and stacks of non-disclosure agreements all over the place? I think the answer is most of them. But never mind that for now. Let's get back to tonight's big candidates debate for a moment, because there's a lot to get into, and I've got a bunch of audio for you on that topic. Also, it turns out, there are key swing states. You're familiar with this concept of the key swing state? There are key swing states. And if you don't live in one of those key swing states, then really the Democrat Party doesn't care if you live or die. They know how that's going to come out on Election Day, California, and Minnesota. So they could care less. They don't give a flying hoot about any state that's not a key swing state. Those are the words. The key swing state. And if you're not in North Carolina or Georgia or whatever it is, then they don't care about you. That's your vote is taken for granted. They just care about key swing states, because our entire political system is run by corrupt advisors, consultants, numbers crunchers, slicing and dicing like Ron Popeil, all of the numbers. And if you're not member of a small clatch of Chinese immigrant, lesbian, one-legged pogo stick fans in Tuscaloosa County in western Pennsylvania. That's where the whole election rides on a small group of Chinese lesbians with one leg that have pogo sticks in western Pennsylvania. And as they go, the country goes. I love all this "as they go, the country goes" stuff. And also your vote is only important depending on your race, according to the Democrat Party, and whether you have sex with people of the same gender. The Democrat Party has pitted people against one another in the United States of America very effectively. They haven't done well with the economy, haven't done that very effectively, or with war and peace around the world. Very, very bad job of that. The open border, very bad job with all of that. But that doesn't matter because they've got a bunch of powerful network news anchors and newspaper owners like Jeff Bezos doing their work for them. It's all about the propaganda. It's the propaganda war. Elections are won and lost in the realm of propaganda. And the Democrat Party has been working feverishly and furiously to secure the propaganda apparatus advantage for a long, long time now. And also the anti-American push. I went and I saw it a while back, but I went and dug it up this morning. Polls that show that Democrats have created a country where nobody's proud to be an American anymore because the filthy, rotten, transgender looters and carjackers, the Democrat Party, have so wrecked everything. And then they took over education first on a university level and then beyond. And the numbers are quite alarming indeed. Not so very long ago, 85% of us said we were very proud to be Americans. Now it's, I think, 18% for the younger voters. Is that Gen Z? I'll have to take a look at that. 18% proud to be American, 85% a decade ago. And this is 100% because the Democrat Party has corruptly waged war against Western civilization in the name of implementing their globalist views, and they are authoritarian or totalitarian, whichever you prefer. Not a lot of daylight between. And remarkable stuff. The Democrat Party, they hate America, and they're teaching generation after generation to be brimming with contempt for the freest, fairest, bestest, and by their definition, most liberal country on the planet Earth, which they despise with great zeal. So I want to share that with you today too. But I got a bunch of stuff for you on the debate tonight because it's a big deal. And how will President Trump behave? And how will it's not that President Trump won't perform when it comes to, command of the facts and the issues. That's fine. But they're looking for him to have one gaffe, and then that'll be it on the corrupt, filthy, David Muir. I got a great study for you. The great people at the Media Research Center and the great Brent Bozell with a study that shows that David Muir's ABC News broadcast, for which they apparently pay him $25 million a year, that he is the most biased. Theirs is the most biased newscast on network TV, and it is 100% positive coverage of Kamala Harris and the Democrats, and 90-something% negative coverage of President Trump and Republicans, because the filthy, rotten lefties have taken over the media like an invading army, and they got that. Also around the country, you may have seen some of this in Chicago, Illinois, and in Springfield, Ohio. People going to city council meetings to give the city council members a piece of their mind about what they've done. What they've done to Springfield, Ohio is truly amazing. It's a small city of 60,000 people. And if you grew up in a small town, you wouldn't think that's very small, but 60,000 people, Springfield, Ohio. And the Democrats have imported 20,000 Haitians that are going into grocery stores, opening jars of peanut butter, scooping their hands in, shoveling the stuff into their pie holes, then putting the jars back on the shelves and walking over to the fruit and just eating it, stand there eating it, and then throw the core on the ground like Bill Clinton. And, he eats the whole apple core and all seeds and stem and everything because he's a grotesque pig, but never mind that. So regular people going into the City Hall and meetings, open meetings in Chicago and Springfield, and giving these corrupt politicians a piece of their mind. It's a piece of their mind that they're getting. Remarkable stuff. And what's going on in Springfield is truly outrageous. And by the way, the Haitians, they like eating house cats and some dogs. So according to reports, and the police say, well, we haven't had a lot of reports of cats going missing, but who reports a missing cat to the police? And apparently there's one story at least, and it's not clear, but cats, the Haitians back in Haiti, they like, and they got the cannibalism there too in Haiti. The Democrats are just like, open the door, let everybody in, because let's end the United States of America as we know it, and the fundamental transformation of America, because Democrats don't like this country. They teach anti-American history and anti-Americanism, and they're not on our side. The Democratic Party isn't Democratic, and they are not on our side. So just a couple of things. And before I get into, and there's a lot more to the, ABC News, terrible, corrupt, and the statistics prove it. They have ground rules for the debate tonight, and I have them for you. Kamala continues to flip-flop, but just resurfaced because we have a filthy, corrupt news media that doesn't report the news. They cover up the facts, and then they lie to you when they get caught. That's the American news media in a nutshell. How did they get into a nutshell? Kamala Harris told the ACLU that she would fund, with taxpayer dollars, transgender surgery and treatment for illegal aliens that cross our border. Transgender surgery and other medical treatments for convicted criminals in prison so they can make new friends. Hey, look what I got. I'm in prison. Now I'm a girl. Maybe I'll be more popular now. Isn't that amazing stuff? And she took this survey. The ACLU used to be the American Civil Liberties Union, now just a radical left-wing front group for terrorists and violent mobs and stuff. But this thing is now resurfaced. It would have been on the surface all along if we had a legitimate news media, but we don't. And that's remarkable stuff. Wait till you hear what she advocated in this ACLU survey of her. Amazing stuff. We've got that going. And then I didn't even hear about this. I live in Washington, D.C., and I didn't hear about it until this morning. But it turns out there were violent mobs of Democrats marauding around the city. And I mean, from the H Street corridor in Northeast to the city center in Northwest to Georgetown along the Potomac River in Northwest, a completely different neighborhood. A mob of more than 60 Democrats smashing out storefronts and looting the Gucci store, and 5 arrests. The D.C. police arrested 5 people trying to maintain law and order. But the Democrat Party is a violent mob of criminals that feel entitled to smash out storefronts any place, any time, and steal everything there, and then condemn the police for arresting them. But police are still looking for, get a load of this, at least 60 Democrats, 60, dozens, scores of Democrats looting and marauding. And it's unclear whether the same mob went from one part of the city to the other, or whether there are multiple mobs in different parts of the city. But the filthy, rotten Democrat criminal mobs of violent criminal savages and looters, we should really move them to Haiti, where cannibalism is popular. What happened to barbecue? We were talking about barbecue, the Haitian cannibal and leader. And then we stopped talking about all that, I guess, because maybe all the cannibals moved here. But house cats are disappearing in Springfield, Ohio, where the Democrats have increased the population by 30% by moving how many? 20,000 Haitians into a town of 60,000 people. And the mayhem is absolutely crazy. Americans showed up at the city council meeting in Springfield, too. Pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, so businesses vandalized in D.C. overnight. 5 in custody after a rash of overnight burglaries and vandalism. Vandals deface monuments. The Democrat Party. And they'd like your vote. If you like more crime, Haitians eating your cat. No, really, your cat, eating your cat. If you like carjackings and shootings and mob violence and murder, then the Democrat Party is the party for you. They're recruiting. And we continue to be at 888-630-9625. Okay, let's go to the telephones. Tonight we have the first debate again. Michael Piercy this morning calling it the first debate again. You could also, because President Trump already debated Joe Biden and then he fell off the radar, or whatever it is he fell off. He fell off the iron lung. It's the second first debate. For Donald Trump, it's the second first debate. For Kamala, who is, what's she doing? She nose to the grindstone. She's really, let's grab a phone call. Let's go to George calling from Linden, Virginia. Jorge, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me on. So I have a prediction. If things continue to trend well for President Trump, especially after this debate, I think Biden resigns the presidency. I think Kamala becomes president. The media will hail her as a great patriot who has saved the republic from a constitutional crisis. Now, you and I both know that there's no constitutional crisis. Constitution prescribes exactly what happens when the president leaves, but they know the timeline, right? They know the honeymoon's 30 to 40 days. Backtrack from the election, and that puts you in the first couple of weeks of October. And I think you'll watch for the signs like Hunter getting pardoned, right? Within a few hours of Hunter getting pardoned, then Biden resigns. And my concern is this. I'm just not sure there's anyone in the Trump administration wargaming this, or in the Trump campaign wargaming this. I mean, they seem to have been really caught off guard by Kamala Harris getting coronated, right, in the days and weeks after her coronation. And there would have been, right? Like the most direct line to all that campaign funding was the only other person on all the paperwork.
You know, our political system is the most exciting television you're going to find anywhere. It's a great, big, terrible cable television series. Now, before I get into CBS News attacking J.D. Vance, saying that he's talking about Haitian immigrants, illegal aliens, but they're legal because Joe Biden gave hundreds of thousands of Haitians the holy wave and said, well, all the Haitians are here legally because Barbecue the Cannibal is ruling the roost down there and cannibal gangs in Haiti. But never mind that. So J.D. Vance U.S. Senator, made reference to that, and CBS News is attacking him, right? J.D. Vance repeats baseless claim Haitian immigrants are eating pets as Ohio officials say there is no evidence. Well, they ate the evidence. You know, come on. Of course there's no evidence. What, do you expect them to hollow out the cats and put them on their heads like it's 1,000 years ago? Well, maybe. But I'll get to that in a little bit because that's what CBS News says. But the people that live there say something different, and CBS News doesn't care what they say. And if they're black, and there are these African Americans saying, oh, yeah, you know, there's a guy with the... Oh, and they're also eating the ducks and geese out of the parks. There are ducks and geese, and people that live there have seen it, but CBS News says that J.D. Vance is making it up because they talked to a Democrat who said there's no evidence that that pile of feathers over there means that the Haitian illegal aliens are eating geese. Geese are good and tasty, and so are ducks. And, you know, guys got to eat, right? But never mind that. But before I get into that, in Washington, D.C. last night, no big deal. It's not even a news story because a mob of maybe 65 Democrats smashed the storefronts out of Gucci and other stores in Washington, D.C. in multiple neighborhoods and looted the place, robbed the places. And interestingly, Michael Piercy and I were talking about, normally what these Democrats do is they make videos of themselves committing multiple felonies and then they post them online. They post them on social media and stuff. And interestingly, this must be a really organized crime. Maybe they're Haitians. Maybe they're MS-13. Maybe they're Venezuelan, Tren de Agua. They, Venezuelan gangs. But they apparently are not posting videos of themselves sacking, looting, and plundering. WTOP used to be a news radio station. 5 people in custody after rash of overnight burglaries and vandalism in D.C. They choose their words very carefully. What is it now? Burglaries and vandalism? It's mob violence and looting and organized crime. But they're Democrats. They're all Democrats. 5 people are in custody Tuesday morning after D.C. police said there was a rash of burglaries and vandalism across the district overnight. Not just in one neighborhood or at one cluster of stores, but across the city. Detectives are investigating 6 burglaries and 6 destruction of property offenses in the city center and Georgetown areas, along with stores in the H Street corridor. That's north of the Capitol and east of the Capitol and North Capitol Street and H Street. The H Street corridor was a trendy place for a while until the Democrats made sure that there was so much crime that nobody wanted to go there anymore. But detectives are investigating 6 burglaries, 6 destruction of property offenses, City Center and Georgetown, along with one store in the H Street corridor, a store in Logan Circle, completely different neighborhood again, and a store north of Columbia Heights, D.C. police said in a news release on Tuesday. Police said the 5 people in custody are being held for charges including burglary and fleeing from law enforcement. Well, you'd expect them to flee from law enforcement, often in stolen cars, because Democrats love to steal cars. The police department said an increased police presence, Democrats want to defund police and pull police off the street, will continue throughout D.C. as a result of the incidents overnight. Police have not provided any reason for the activity, we'll call it activity, but it happened hours after authorities released police-worn body camera video of a D.C. man who worked with violence interrupter programs in the district. And this is a terrible thing. Justin Robinson, 26 years old, was fatally shot by 2 police officers on September 1st when he was found unresponsive after crashing into a McDonald's in Southeast D.C. Now, here's the thing. This guy, this Democrat, Justin Robinson, who they say worked with violence interrupters. He liked to interrupt violence. And violence interrupters, that's what they want instead of police officers, right? But this guy, Justin Robinson, and interestingly, the WTOP story, they're not in the news business, they're in the Democrat business, doesn't mention that Justin Robinson crashed his car into the McDonald's in Southeast and was found unresponsive in his car. So he crashed he's a violence interrupter. He's to replace the police, according to the Democrats. And he was laying there unconscious with a gun in his lap, But they leave that out because they're not in the news business. They're in the propaganda business. And so, and they say, but police are not connected. They released the body cam video of this guy being shot because he woke up and then he's got a gun, right? And man, it's not like he plays for the Miami Dolphins or anything. They released the body cam video of that too. And And again, the perp there did everything wrong when you get pulled over by the police in your $300,000 car with completely blacked out windows. How to do everything wrong. That's pretty amazing stuff. I got that coming up too. So WUSA, CBS local affiliate, Channel 9. Businesses vandalized in D.C. overnight. Police have not confirmed whether these incidents are linked to the release of body cam footage, but the news media is making the connection all over the place. Now, you think these people are glued to their D.C. police releases, the press, hey, we've made the body cam video public. I think I'm going to go loot a Gucci store. And the people at WUSA and WTOP, they pretend like that's a perfectly good explanation for looting the Gucci store and then going to 4 different neighborhoods to smash and grab and loot because body cam video of a criminal being shot to death was released by the police. And they tell us, the news media tells us, well, it could be this. And they say the police say there's no reason to think that's the case, but the news media is making it up. They're ginning it up. Well, it's the cops' fault because they shot Justin after he crashed his car into a McDonald's and passed out with a gun in his lap because he's a violence interrupter. And that is supposed to make him noble, I guess. You know, George Floyd died of a heart attack while resisting arrest, and the Democrats burned half the country to the ground and looted thousands of businesses and injured thousands of police and caused billions in property damage, according to the insurance industry. So groups of people destroyed property and burglarized businesses in D.C. Monday night. It's a Monday night. Why not? Nothing else to do. The vandalism took place primarily in City Center and Georgetown areas, but also included one store H Street and one store in Logan Circle and one store north of Columbia Heights. D.C. police said 5 people were arrested last night, and they're continuing to investigate 6 burglaries and 6 destruction of property incidents. Now, let's go to Fox Channel 5. Fox Channel 5 is, of course, the Fox local TV station, and they're better than some of the others. They covered the story, and we have pieces of it for you.
D.C. police monitoring multiple areas across the city after mobs burglarized and vandalized multiple businesses overnight.
This all started just hours after D.C. police released body cam video of last week's deadly officer-involved shooting.
It all started after the...
working to confirm if the two are connected.
Working to confirm if the two are connected. All right, but there's no reason to believe that the two are connected. But every news organization is positing the same hypothesis. And Fox Channel 5 said there was no reason to believe there's a connection, but we're going to keep saying it to try to make excuses for the looters and the rioters and the filthy mob of 65 criminals. Fox Channel 5.
You mentioned off the top that this happened soon after that body camera video was released. Again, we have not been able to independently verify if the two were connected at all. There was some concern that protesters were down here as a result, and then it led to this mob. We have not confirmed that. We're working with police to see if we can get any more detail on that. For right now, they're just saying it was a mob of people. They came to this area and others throughout the city to burglarize and vandalize.
And there's no reason to believe what we all keep saying over and over again. There is no reason to think there's any connective tissue, that there's a cause and effect of any kind. But we're the news media. Don't believe anything we say. And then WTOP is on the same thing, and WUSA is on the same thing, and WJLA is the ABC affiliate in Washington, D.C.
The region has dealt with flash mob crimes for years, but this one's a bit unique because it was overnight, so widespread. 5 different locations where police are set up this morning. In some cases, high-end stores were targeted. D.C. police put out a release this morning saying that overnight, groups of individuals decided to destroy property and burglarize businesses throughout the city.
I love the decided. And that is what the statement says. I shared the police statement this morning in our very small circle here at the radio station, Metropolitan Police Department, with a statement. And the statement says, overnight, groups of individuals, multiple groups of decided to destroy property. I like the way they phrase that. They decided to destroy property and burglarize, loot businesses throughout our city, specifically in the city center and Georgetown areas, along with the story on H Street corridor, that's northeast D.C., they don't even bother to say that, and a story in Logan Circle, back to northwest Washington, D.C., and not near Georgetown or there, and a story north of Columbia Heights. What is that, 5 different neighborhoods that the mob of violent criminals, is it the same mob of violent criminals, or are there multiple mobs of violent criminals? We don't know. We immediately increased our police resources in the impacted areas. Preliminarily, MPD, Metropolitan Police Department, is investigating 6 burglaries, 6 destruction of property offenses in those areas. Thanks to the quick work of officers, 5 people were taken into custody for charges, including burglary and fleeing from law enforcement. MPD detectives continue to investigate these offenses. We will hold offenders accountable. We should send them down to the White House afterward, because Kabul Kirby yesterday said they're holding themselves accountable for the debacle in Afghanistan, but we'll get to that. So WJLA, Channel 7, ABC in Washington, D.C.
Right now, 5 people have been arrested and charged with various crimes, including burglary and fleeing from law enforcement. Now, as a result of these incidents, MPD is going to continue to maintain an increased police presence throughout the city.
They're going to continue to maintain an increased presence throughout the city, and that's what the statement says from the MPD, Metropolitan Police Department. As a result of these incidents, MPD will continue to maintain an increased police presence throughout the city. I think that's a good idea. I think we should do that every day, because Democrats are on the loose every day. And MPD, I love this, listen to this. MPD does not tolerate acts of violence or destruction of property. I'm happy to hear that, because that sounds like that would be illegal. Those would be crimes, I think. And then anyone with information should call the police and tell them about it, because all these Democrats are on the loose. Isn't that amazing stuff? Man, oh, Manischewitz. And that's just Monday. Just Monday. Yep. So we begin the week in Washington, D.C. And Democrats are on the loose everywhere. All right, let's grab a quick phone call. I think that's it for our D.C. Mob violence and looting and all that good stuff. Let's go to Howard, calling from Manassas, Virginia. Howard, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yes, Chris, good morning. I'm sure most of all that what you talked about was mostly peaceful, don't you think?
It was. And look, this is just anybody who objects to this, probably doesn't vote Democrat, I think.
Sir.
It's amazing. Yeah, and this is normal. This is the new America. This is the fundamental transformation of America into a third world beep hole country being overrun by mobs of violent criminals. And Democrats did it.
Sir. Yes, Chris, the story that is told about Ohio, which seems to have come out of nowhere, I mean, we can only assume, obviously, that is happening at God knows how many other places, towns, cities throughout America. And it just doesn't seem like that word, that news. I don't know why the Republicans are not doing a better job of putting this front and center. I pray to God Trump uses this story and others like it tonight. But we have the truth and facts on our side, Chris, and we have got to share it more. I am doing my part as much as I can. I'm ticking off family members, especially the females in my household, trying to get the truth to them respectfully. And you know, the other thing that surprised me, Chris, I am shocked, honestly, when I see these videos of the Venezuelan gangs and all that stuff, that there aren't more vigilante groups, and I'm not condoning it, but I am surprised that there aren't more vigilante groups popping up and taking matters into their own hands, and that does say a lot on a good sense. And on another sense, I sit there and see, my gosh, are there not any men in these communities that are going to get out there and protect their community? But obviously they'll have the book thrown at them, and the bad guys will get free, and the good guys will go to jail for eternity.
Yeah.
I mean, something's going to happen.
You nailed it all, Howard. You're absolutely right in everything you said. And I'm surprised, too, and I've talked about that a bit on the radio and a bit not on the radio. And you're right. It's a commentary on what decent people we are, while the Democrat Party is looting and plundering and bringing 20,000 Haitians to a city, Springfield, Ohio, of 60,000 people. Hey, here, take in 20,000 Haitians. They should all be bused to Midtown Manhattan and dropped off all at once with machetes, don't you think? I'll pitch in for some machetes. We'll drop them off in Midtown. Perhaps the Democrat Party could be identified as, labeled as a terrorist organization, with all the violence and the looting and the... Just Monday night in Washington, D.C., in 5 or 6 neighborhoods were looted by a mob of at least 60, 65 people, all Democrats, 100% of them Democrats. Very little time, but let's go to Dave calling from Silver Spring, Maryland. And I'm sorry, Dave, I haven't given you a lot of time, but you're on the Chris Plant Show.
That's all right, Chris. I'll make it real quick. You remember when Barack Obama was debating Mitt Romney, and he said, Mitt, the 70s called and they want their foreign policy back. I would love to see Trump turn to Harris and say, Camilla, the American people called and they want their country back.
I hope that they have a lot of prepared lines. I think President Trump is going to do great, and he's going to waltz right through it. And I've got the rules coming up for you here. Yeah, 70s called. They want their foreign policy back then. The wheels came off all over the world under Barack Obama. Yeah, that was pithy, and the news media loved it. Right? The 70s called. They want their foreign policy back. Then what happened under Barack Obama, and what's happening now under you-know-who?